is. I'm following in my shows. Now, we really want my shows, and I have a video thumbs down. I'm here because it keeps showing up. Oh.
All right, welcome everybody. I don't, if you read the little insert, it probably told you this is a live podcast. I originally planned to have a guest with me today. They weren't able to make it, but I've done this plenty of times where I just sit up here and ramble about stuff I love forever. So we'll do it with just me, but a lot of hopefully audience participation. Like that's my favorite thing, is getting other people's perspectives and going back and forth about it. I'm not gonna like argue with anybody or anything, but we can discuss it as a group. I think that'll work good in place of me not having someone up here to go back and forth with. And if all else fails, I have my daughter over here, Veda, and she can come up and talk about it with me. So without further ado, welcome to Marvel Plus, the podcast devoted to all things MCU. My name is Brett Scott. I am the host, and this is the live show at FanExpo Cleveland 2025. Welcome to the live audience, and welcome to the people watching on the live stream. Now, today we're going to be talking about Captain America: Brave New World. It's one of those movies where it's really divisive. Some people say it was terrible, terribly written, terribly executed, too many reshoots, what have you. I'll tell you up front, though, I really enjoyed the movie. It wasn't, I mean, it's still for me the fourth best Captain America movie, but that's not saying anything because that's the best trilogy in the MCU, right? It's not top tier MCU for me, but for me, like it's like a B grade movie. I mean, it was solid film. I liked it. You can definitely tell there are some things in it where maybe they had to edit it in certain ways. They reshot it in different ways that doesn't go seamlessly. But overall, I had a great time watching it. I've watched it 3 times. I know that's not one of those like repeat movies for a lot of people, but I'm one of those people who have repeat seen it. So, but I would love to kind of get kind of a back and forth going here, because I know that it is, like I said, it's some people hated it and some people loved it. I think it's fine. I mean, do any of us trust critics at this point when it comes to anything? Like with a critic score on anything, I take it with a grain of salt always. So sorry if there's like actual critics in the audience here, but we don't trust you. I usually look at that audience score, and the audience score tells me that this movie's pretty damn good. So I was worried. Don't get me wrong. When I saw the scores coming back before it was released, and it was like 40-something%, I was like, oh no, this might not be good, because I've been really looking forward to this as my favorite trilogy of movies. I was really looking forward to another chapter of Captain America's story. So something I've been talking about on the podcast for the last couple of years, how excited I was for this. It's like this and X-Men. That's what I was waiting on. So I wasn't disappointed. I really enjoyed it. I like Sam Wilson, Captain America. I think Anthony Mackie has done a great job with the character. I think he's done a great job of transforming from Falcon and then slowly but surely into Captain America. And not the same Captain America. That's kind of what's great about it, though. Like, it's not a guy trying to be Steve Rogers. It's kind of like Into the Spider-Verse, right? It's a different version of the character. But in this case, it's in the same world. But I like it. I like him as Cap, and I think that showing him wrestle with becoming Cap was like a fun thing to watch. I really enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Still one of my favorite of the MCU shows that they released. I wasn't, I don't know, most people don't agree with me on that though. Like for most people, I feel like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is not as good. But for me, it's this, Hawkeye, like the grounded stuff I really love. Is everybody watching Daredevil right now? Some yeses, some no's. It's incredible. If you like the Netflix series, they're doing an amazing job, like holding true to that. It's really, really good. Does anyone disagree with that? No? Okay. Let's see. I want to go through a little bit of this before we start getting kind of audience participation here. But Harrison Ford coming in and taking over as Thaddeus Ross. I think Harrison Ford works as a president in any movie. I mean, he's shown that. He's played the president several times. So, I mean, I think that was a smart pick to play the guy that's stepping in to become president. I mean, it sucks. It sucks that we didn't get to finish, with the actor that we had. But if you're gonna get someone, I mean, Harrison Ford is a pretty good get. I think one of my only probably criticisms of the movie is that I didn't feel like there was enough personal relationship between Thaddeus Ross and Sam Wilson for there to be such animosity, for there to be a final fight between them. Like it didn't feel earned, that fight at the end, because they didn't have a personal connection. Whereas in most of these movies, especially the Captain America movies, it's really personal, and it's hard for the character to engage with the other character. Like Winter Soldier, obviously what do I do? This is my best friend. And in Civil War, it's Tony versus Cap, and it's like as an audience, you're like, but I love all these guys. Like you don't want to pick sides, but you kind of do, but you don't want them to. When they're beating down Tony, you still feel bad for him, So this didn't have that, and that's one of the only drawbacks for me, was that there wasn't a buildup of character conflict between the two before reaching that endpoint, that fight. It didn't feel like it was earned. But I still thought it was awesome. I think it was a great rendering of the Hulk. This and the Edward Norton version of the Hulk are my favorite, like CGI versions of the Hulk that we've had. I just think they've done it really well. Like he looks big, mean, lean. It doesn't look silly like some other iterations we've seen of the Hulk. But they're my favorite versions. The big, crazy, muscled out versions of the Hulk is what I love the most. Like it looks very comic booky. I'm a big comic book person, so anything that can harken back to the comic origins, I love. And there was a lot of that in this movie too. There was a lot of stuff they brought in. What was supposed to be Sabra as the kind of I don't know. Protector of the president. I don't know, but she was like a widow. I like the fact that she was a widow. I like that aspect of it. It was cool to get more widows involved in the MCU. Looking forward to Yelena in Thunderbolts. She's one of my favorite characters that have come out of this kind of new era. But having a Black Widow protect the president was pretty damn cool. Let's see, Joaquin Torres. I thought really just enhanced Sam Wilson's Captain America, because when we had Chris Evans in there as Steve Rogers, he had the Falcon as this sidekick for several movies. And then I feel like you kind of need someone to bounce things off of, to go into battle with, like he does with Joaquin. And they have the same kind of thing. Also, with Sam Wilson becoming Captain America, he's a little less comedic. Where in previous movies, he was more comic relief in those very serious Captain America movies. Now you've got Joaquin doing it. So I thought he was a good addition. They introduced him in Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I thought was cool. It wasn't a brand new character for everyone to get to know. If you watch that at all, you got a light introduction to the character and kind of knew where it was going. Like he idolized Falcon. He wanted to be Falcon. So we got to see that here. Let's see, Giancarlo Esposito, I guess, was an addition to the film. They weren't originally going to have Sidewinder in this film. One problem I had with that is that he didn't really resemble Sidewinder, the character Sidewinder, at all. He could have just been a regular assassin. I don't know why they had to make it Sidewinder. I guess it was just trying to play to fan service or fans of the comics, but for me, he was cool enough as he was without being called Sidewinder. Like he was a deadly assassin, and the way he executed was awesome. When he was going after Cap, when he was in the truck and he shoots out the windows, throws a grenade in there, like he was relentless. So I thought he was a great addition. I just think he shouldn't have been Sidewinder. I don't know why they needed to do that particularly. Um, Tim Blake Nelson coming back. Now, a lot of people said this was a continuation of the Incredible Hulk, and I can kind of see it. This is more of a sequel to the Incredible Hulk than it is a sequel to Captain America, which makes sense because it's a brand new Captain. Um, we're not continuing on the same story of Captain America. It's a brand new story. Uh, I really liked the Incredible Hulk, and I was glad to see over this past couple years they've been making references back to it more and more. And then this movie is like the ultimate reference back to it, right? Um, Not particularly in love with the leader in this. Uh, Although I don't know how you would design him much better without it looking silly. I mean, if you just made him with a giant head, uh, it would be more comic accurate. But as we know, that's not always the best thing on screen is to have comic accurate. Sometimes it is though. Sometimes we want those vibrant X-Men costumes on screen, right? We don't want the black leather costumes. And that was one thing the MCU's done great is like make them look like they looked in the comics. Uh, I just wasn't a big fan of like I don't know. There's some realism to it, I guess. You like to kind of see his brain coming out. It made sense, but not my favorite villain. But I still thought the movie overall was executed well. I mean, it was political thriller. It was much like all the other Captain America movies, especially 2 and 3. Um, the stakes were pretty big. They could have gone to war with another country. And I'm glad with the Captain America movies, most of the time it's like localized to the United States, or it's not usually world-ending problems, which I enjoy. I like the more grounded stuff. So um, I think they did that in this movie well. Like it was big enough that it involved different countries around the world, but it wasn't cosmic. It wasn't aliens coming and Steve had to try to stop them or Sam had to try and stop them. It was way more grounded, and I feel like the Captain America movie should be that, and hope they'll continue to be that. Uh, One of the other things I wanted to talk about is Sam wrestling with taking the super soldier serum. And I go back and forth, okay? Because sometimes I'm like, well, if you say you're not going to take it, you kind of have to stand behind that now at this point. Like you already said it, like I'm not going to take it. On the other hand, why not? Why not take it? I don't understand. Like it's proven that if you're a good person and you take it, you just become a better, more enhanced version of that good person, right? And if you're kind of a crappy person, you become a jerk. Um, I don't know why. Like Steve took it. We don't look at Steve in a negative way for taking the serum because he wanted to be more and do more. Um, I don't understand. I don't understand why they've inserted this into the story that like Sam shouldn't take it. Then he needs all these enhancements, which I don't like as much, like the vibranium wings. They had to do that. Like, what else was he going to do against Red Hulk? Like, you had to have something cosmic or supernatural or something that was not of this world, and that's what they did with the vibranium wings. I like that they introduced adamantium in this movie, although I don't know. I don't know, it's clearly a different version of adamantium because it came from space. It's not man-made. Somehow they're going to take chunks of it off of this thing where, in the comic universe, even in the Fox universe, like once it's hardened, there's no taking chunks of it. Like it's hardened, it's done. You're not breaking it. You kind of have to make it, form it into what you want before it hardens. And anyway, I'm in the weeds on adamantium. But I would love if anyone has anything about this movie to add, whether you liked it, didn't like it, or aspects of the movie that you want to talk about. Jump in, go ahead.
So with the conversation about the serum,
Mhm.
I do like that he's wrestling with the fact of am I worthy enough or not to
Yeah.
be Captain America?
Yeah.
Because and we see it when Cap first hands him the shield. If Cap gave it to him as his friend, and the government is like, it's ours, you can't have it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, what are you talking about? Anyway, so when it comes to the serum, I took it from the perspective of by not having the serum, you have to rely on collaborations, on partnerships with other people's strengths and talents and abilities and resources in order to get that. So I think that that's more of a symbolism of you're not meant to do it alone. You're not meant to. You can't protect a country on your own. You need resources.
Yeah.
So I think his struggle with having whether or not to take serum is if he takes the serum, more falls on his shoulders than not. And by not having the serum, to me, he has more of that humility of being able to help, want to rely on other people, want to use his team, and want to help build others up. Not that Cap didn't do that,
Right.
but it was taken different because I think there was a disconnect between, well, you're the superhuman, we're just average. How, like, why, like, we can't help you.
Yeah.
Versus if you are at that same level in the playing field, it's like, okay, we are the same in a lot of ways. We can help each other. There's no doubt. It's just a matter of resources and strength and weakness. But I took it from that perspective, and I actually am looking forward to how they handle that in future movies because I think that's really important to not only the character development, but how superheroes are represented in society anyway, or in the entertainment industry. That's my take on those.
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like they've made that a part of the story. I'm not sure that it needs to be because now I feel like we have a negative view of the serum, right? So like only bad people are going to take this, and it's like, why though? Why they only bad people didn't take it before, right? And they've shown that Sam is the same kind of character as Steve, right? He's a good man, and it would only enhance that, right? You're right. Everyone else who has taken it though have become sort of villainous. Even John Walker takes it, he becomes worse, and I wouldn't even say he's a bad guy. It kind of brought out his worst parts in a way, right? And I think we'll see going forward that character becomes more of a hero anyway. So I don't know. For me, it's just like they kind of demonize the serum. Does anyone have an argument for him taking the serum? Like I feel like, yeah. You think he'll have to take it? Apparently not. Yeah. Interesting. I could see that. I mean, I could see that too. And then someone like Joaquin maybe convincing him that, like, look, man, you're a good man. It's not gonna make you like these other people who have taken. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Isaiah Bradley. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe too. Maybe there's some, like she was saying, like government ownership. Like once you take it, it's kind of like we've given you this, so now you kind of got to do our bidding, some sort of thing, or like, I don't know, maybe it comes with strings attached, or he feels like it comes with strings attached. That's another thing I wanted to talk about too, the Isaiah Bradley. I hope that at some point we get to see his story. Um, they talk about it, but this is a story that's actually played out in comics. There is a story there, and I think it'd be cool to actually see it. If not a full series or a segment in a movie or something, maybe just do a flashback to it. Show us that story though, with a young Isaiah Bradley taking the serum, saving all the people in Korea. Like I want to see that story and see him get locked up, how that all went down. That's what I want to see. I know it exists, and now I want to see it on screen. Yeah, yeah. The last thing he's done is try to assassinate the president, right? Like maybe we should give him a better arc. Yeah,
Steve actually took it, it was 1940s.
Yeah.
It was created by that one doctor that
Mhm.
died. And so it has taken, whoever improved it or moved forward with it, maybe there are some things that, those side effects that could continue to cause someone to change and not be on the side of good, or it changes things significantly. But then the second thing that I was thinking about was the use of Bucky coming back, and the comic relief, and I love Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Great.
Their relationship and their bond, and I
Yep.
think that made the show for me. Like I watch it every couple of months.
Yeah.
The series again, but I was disappointed in that relationship showing in the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Bucky's on, it's about to be,
Yeah.
straight comedy. They're about to, partner up where they're gonna do, and it was just like, okay.
Too short. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just giving you the intro to Thunderbolt.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it was, is to get people excited for Thunderbolts. And then also because of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think they wanted to show them together again. Like, yeah, we didn't just completely forget about this guy you made friends with. Yeah, I love their kind of buddy cop back and forth. And what do we think about Senator Bucky Barr? What do we think about that? Because, like, would that happen? Would that happen with what he's done? I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
really. So maybe that'll come out. That's a good point of conflict they could use for sure. I never thought about that. I just assumed because they saved the world that like people knew who they were and like, but yeah, how would you? I don't think anyone's ever outed him as the Winter Soldier. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. How much time has passed between, yeah, yeah. I wonder how much time passed between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and then this Brave New World. Like, how much time is that? Because to go from where he was suffering like from PTSD and struggling with what he had done and trying to make amends, to then running for Senate seems kind of like a jump. So yeah, I'd like to know how he went down that path. Yeah. Which one? Oh yeah, yeah. There's a thing about Bucky's arm too. Like it just keeps showing up in random places. Like they had it in the Guardians Christmas special. How did they get that? How did he get that? Rocket. Yeah. 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 I wonder like how many of those is there? I mean, I guess the Wakandans made him a new arm, but wasn't the old arm like destroyed and that's why they made him a new one? Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe he has a bunch of them like Daredevil has masks, just like light up. He wears them like depending on his outfit that day. Yeah. All right. So what else we got? Any other like hot takes about Brave New World? Is anyone not a fan of Brave New World? I feel like probably wouldn't have come here. You? The villain was stupid? Yeah.
It's supposed to be smart genius.
Uh-huh.
He got like MVP farm.
In the end, he did.
In
Yeah.
the end, he
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. I think that was just trying to show that like he underestimated the goodness, of Captain America. Like he didn't think any human would react in this way. And then, but this guy, this one guy did. So yeah, I mean, there's sometimes there's some leaps in this stuff. You got to just go with it. But like I said, not my favorite aspect of the movie, that character. I feel like they could have done this movie a lot of different ways. I know why they used the leader and used Red Hawk because they wanted to continue this story. But I don't necessarily love the story they took with you. Yeah.
wasn't enough Red Bull. But if they didn't even show that in advertising.
Yeah.
People would have been pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
With that short period of time we did get.
Yeah,
That's my complaint, it's just the branding of marketing. Great movie, I enjoyed it.
yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a beef a lot of us have with a lot of these movies is they try so hard to get us in the theater that the movie could have been so much better without knowing. I mean, Spider-Man No Way Home. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You know, same thing with this. Could you imagine if you had no idea and then Red Hall, you know, I mean, people would have loved the movie. I bet the critic score would have gone way up. So, yeah.
So, full disclosure, I haven't seen Brave New World yet.
What? What are you doing here?
And I also was a little bit more Team Iron Man than Captain America. About to get stoned. I'm so sorry, guys. So, though I appreciated Captain America, like I've seen all the movies with him in it, I want to know a little bit more. He was never a character that I kind of like connected with, in a sense of like I knew he was this like very righteous, like do-gooder kind of figure, and like at least for me, I didn't feel like I saw a lot of the interpersonal struggles that he was having with his role as Captain America. Like being out of a different time period, I saw that.
Yeah.
Like how the world is now versus how the world was when he went under the ice. Like I could see that struggle, but I didn't see a lot of his struggle with the title of Captain America. So I want to know a little bit more about, because you said like Sam is not Steve. So I guess I want to hear like a little bit more about that, like the differences. Obviously, there's going to be a million differences between the two of them because they come from different backgrounds, like they're different characters entirely. So I guess I want to hear a little bit more about the differences.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like that's one thing that's cool about Sam is he does feel a little bit more like you and me than Steve Rogers. You know, the morally righteous, always Boy Scout, always does the right thing or what he believes is right, and it always ends up being the right thing in the end. They craft the story towards that, but Sam feels a little bit more like a regular guy that got put in the role and having to live up to this idea of a guy who is always right. Yeah, it just feels more like a random person being put in there rather than this specially designed guy. So.
He almost has never made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like you said, like he might make a decision, and then by the end of the story, it turns out to be the right decision, like the right call, which is fine. But I've never seen the guy make a mistake.
Yeah, he doesn't fail, right? He never actually fails.
Yeah.
And then my second point of view is.
So I've been a Marvel fan for like a really long time, as I'm sure like everybody in this room has been, but I at least personally have felt almost a little bit disappointed with some of the more recent movies.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think you're
really
alone. I think a lot of people have felt that. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think like my biggest problem has really come to like
how they have handled humor in the more recent movies.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm kind of wondering, like, as someone who is having these kind of like conflicts with how the movies are being produced, how does Brave New World either address it? Does it do anything differently from what we've seen with the more recent films, or does it kind of continuate some of those issues that have been beginning to pop up?
Yeah, you're not alone in that. I mean, I feel like all of us is.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that sounds cool.
Yeah.
But political entry doesn't mean anything if they like lampshade it with a random joke.
Well, they had to take it away, because, going back to having the Black Widow protect, the reason why they changed it was because the conflict in Israel came up and they couldn't.
Yeah, that got real shaky.
So they were like, okay, we have to get rid of this character or change this character. But going back to like with the phases, they get you so hyped with phase one, phase two, now we're at like, this is phase four,
But
five.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the, you're not putting the money in it, then it's just so many different things that tie into it.
And like
Again,
with the humor thing, this is gonna be another hot take. I did not like, the third Thor movie. I did not like Ragnarok.
oh,
Okay.
that was my.
I'm not hot takes, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
my problem with it was it felt like it disingenuous a lot of serious moments with humor, because Marvel movies started to become like,
Yeah.
oh, they're action movies, but they're also really funny.
Yeah.
And people like that they're funny, so let's keep going with the
Mhm.
humor, and it's almost gotten to a point where they've lost the balance
Yeah.
of what made it funny, and now it's like, it almost feels like you're disingenuing a lot of your serious moments because you start hitting it with these jokes. And for some movies, it works.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, it worked perfectly. But like, and that's fair, that's fair. But like, so I'm kind of wondering, like, you say political intrigue, so I'm like, but in my back of my head, I'm thinking, are they going to,
They
biff it?
they treated it a lot more seriously.
Okay.
There's not a lot of comedy in there's a little, like Joaquin is a little bit of side, like, comic relief, but it's no more than Sam was in the Cat movies. Like, it's pretty serious movie. Yep.
We're in the place, I said,
Yeah.
there was always a build to these like spectacular finales.
Yeah.
They
Mm,
have to like.
Yeah.
You know, end game moments that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and unfortunately, you can't get that movie all gotten used to.
Yeah.
Without building the background.
Yeah, I think everybody wants Endgame in a solo movie, and it's like it's too much to expect from a solo Captain America movie. It was never supposed to be that. Just like Iron Man, it was never supposed to be the big climax. Like, you have to build to it with all these little individual character films. And I feel like this is one of the first movies that's done that in a long time. Everything else felt way bigger, like they're trying to make it too big. Just make solo films and then have them build to a big team movie. I feel like it's being rushed now though, because we've messed around for so long that now we got Thunderbolts coming out, later this year, which is probably, if you really look at it, it's kind of like the Avengers film of this year is what it's supposed to be. We're building to Thunderbolts. Next year, we're building to Doomsday, and then we're building, then we're continuing it with Secret Wars. But mhm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's what you have to compare it to other solo movies, if anything, right? And that's what I would do.
Same time, like, they get to the complex years. But Thanos wouldn't have been as amazing without, he was really fast, because, I mean, if you keep following these movies, everyone is like, yeah, I remember when that happened back in Hulk, and I remember when that happened in Winter, and it's just, that's the depth.
Yeah.
That they're trying to create, but you can't have that depth unless you have these smaller movies building up to it.
Yeah, we got to start telling new stories and build towards that for sure. Yeah. Hmm.
So many things, but then shocking out happening now.
Yeah.
Wait, how do we talk? My brain doesn't work.
Yeah.
And as Captain America, just in a moment.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't
Hmm.
take that fear. Now I have
Yeah.
But there was just too many pieces and parts to try to follow along. I just wanted to see him just.
Yeah, and that's a fair criticism. I feel like a lot of people had a problem with it, like just being Incredible Hulk 2 rather than Captain America, a new chapter of Captain America. So that's where I'm at with like, did they need to do it that story? Could maybe if they have done a story that made it an even better movie? Probably. That's the direction they went though. I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it at all. But you imagine a world where maybe they did a different version and it would be awesome too. Yeah. Mhm.
The whole mystery, they kind of gave you the vibe of like, Winter Soldier, like mystery villain.
Yeah, and then the turn of like everyone was.
And then once you hit it, it just kind of drops. Like,
Mhm.
once the reveal happens, especially with like the whole scene of, oh, these pills have gamma radiation in them. I gotta tell Sam.
Mhm.
And then Leader shows up, kills the guy, and turns himself in. And the next scene, it's just like the ending was like really lackluster for like the great peak of the middle of the movie,
Mhm.
the action of the sea battle and stuff. Like, it was a really good peak, and then it just kind of flattened. Like, what are your thoughts on like that?
Well, I think that, I mean, my favorite aspects are the political intrigue stuff, the spy drama stuff. Like that's what I like about these movies. That's why I was kind of saying I didn't need the Red Hulk in this. It was still a cool movie even with Red Hulk, but if they would have done it without Red Hulk, I would have been still completely into the movie because I love all that, like who's behind it, what's going on, who can I trust type thing. So, but I do feel like that's something that they try to do is like after that big moment of realization, where they still had to have that big moment of like Hulk versus Cap. I don't know. I feel like it moved right along for me. This wasn't a long movie. It was definitely on the shorter end for Captain America film, for any Marvel film. But I don't know. Did it peter off after that? I mean, maybe because there's not as much suspense. We all knew he was about to turn into the Hulk. We knew this battle was going to happen. If we didn't, maybe
I think that was like better.
that would have changed how you felt about it. If it was a big secret that he does end up changing, I feel like that would have been a better way to go about it. Yeah.
Why he and Sam butt heads.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You see that? Oh, I wanted to say too. You mentioned something about having all these hot takes. So my friend Zoe here, she's doing a panel here at 5 tonight. It's a hot takes game show panel. So if you guys are around, you should come see that for sure. And I'm one of the judges there. So yeah. So that should be fun. Zoe's queen of hot takes. So. All right. What else we got? We got a couple more minutes here, guys. Yes.
So I have a question for you about like, what are your thoughts on John Walker, and what would you think of like instead of having, like, I understand Sam is like great casting for Cap,
Mhm.
but I think the Falcon Winter Soldier show kind of like did John Walker a little bit dirty
It did.
by kind of just like knocking him off, but not giving a good reason. I kind of believe he was in the right in a few situations.
Mhm.
A lot of people may be against the fact that he killed the terrorist, but
Right.
he was a terrorist with superpowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts on like maybe if we had gotten a movie with him as Cap, and that's where we watch him fall? That would have been, in my opinion, a better lead up for the Thunderbolts of him kind of making a return. It
Yeah,
would've been
it's a
like
rapid
bigger
turnaround.
fall.
Yeah.
It would have been like a bigger fall than just, oh, you've got the nerd for a month.
Yeah, it would have been a bigger fall. But at the same time, we also like what happened. I don't know. I guess Thunderbolts is gonna kind of redeem him in a way. But same as you, I love the character, man. I think it's a cool character that they introduced. I don't know why they had to like instantly make him not just like not great at being Captain America or whatever, but like a legit villain. Like they made him, they portrayed him as though he was really a bad guy. And I don't feel like that's who he is. I feel like he's a victim of circumstance, but I don't feel like
I think
he's a
there
bad
was a
guy.
great video I see a lot, basically just why John Walker is the biggest straw man
Yeah,
in Marvel. And then it was like, it goes over the entire thing of like, it should like, Sam and Bucky in the show are just like constantly just like ragging on this guy because
Yeah.
he's not Steve.
yeah,
But the thing is, he's just doing his job. He was given the
Yeah.
title, doing his job.
exactly.
So I just think it was like kind of poor writing on their.
It was-
part.
Yeah, it's all personal bias, and the characters that we love are ragging on him, so it's like we're supposed to hate him too. It's like, yeah, he didn't muscle his way into that job. Like he won it, I guess, through performance, right? And then they made him Captain America. So I don't know. I love John Walker. I'm curious to see what they do going forward with him. Like just keep him around. I don't know how long they'll keep U.S. Agent around, but
Yeah, it
Absolutely
looks so
terrible.
good, but then again, some other movies that look really good and stand out pretty mid.
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like we're gonna get like a real cold pool open and it's gonna.
I don't know, man. I love Yelena. Like anything she's in is amazing. So
Florence Pugh, yeah.
Florence Pugh, and then also I loved Hawkeye's probably my favorite series of all the Disney Plus series, and you know that I think having Haley Steinfeld in this is gonna be good. Gonna be good.
Haley Steinfeld's not in the.
I think she is.
You think I can't? She's not in the trailer.
She's not in the trailer.
No,
Is she not in the trailer at all?
no.
Well, she's supposed to. Well, she's supposed to be a new Avenger, right? So
Yeah, but this is not that. Thunderbolts is Marvel's more like
No,
Suicide Squad.
I know that, but I think they're gonna.
Yeah.
I think so, but I think they're also going to somehow turn that. I think Sam is going to build the new Avengers somewhat of this team from Thunderbolts. That's what the asterisk is. That's what I think.
The asterisk.
The asterisk is they can't call it Avengers, so they call it Thunderbolts. That's what it is. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it though, because I love all the characters in it. Right?
We should go see it.
Yeah, I mean, John Walker, Yelena Belova, Red Guardian, like I love all these characters.
Okay, well, not really.
You want to
hot-
save the hot takes for your panel?
Okay, this one's not in my panel. So
Okay.
I really like the second Ant-Man film. So
Okay.
as for Ghost being
Well, you
in the Thunderbolt,
Yeah, that's
I'm not hating it.
cool. I mean, you didn't say you loved Quantumania, so we're not.
No, I hate it. That was an active
It
hate.
wasn't that hot of it. It was like a warm take.
Yeah. No, my bad.
Wait, did you dislike Thor Ragnarok? That's what brought this up because
I didn't like it the first time watching it,
Yeah.
and then I started watching it again. Like anytime I go through my mini rewatches, and I appreciate it.
maybe that's the ticket. You got to watch it more. Hmm. It was kind of a moment. Yeah, I mean, if you saw in the theater, it was like, wow. Yep, that's too much. Come in, you're not too far. On that note, we're gonna shut this thing down. And no, but seriously, come later. I'm gonna be a judge at Zoe's panel later. Is it just MCU hot takes or like?
Mostly MCU, yeah.
Okay, it's a hot takes panel, and then I'm gonna be there's gonna be judges like kind of judging
The
who,
take.
who had the better points on the tape. So that should be fun. But thank you guys for coming out and sitting in on my show. And hopefully I'll hand out some cards here so you guys don't forget the podcast. Maybe you can come follow the podcast. That would be awesome. I have new guests on like every week. I try to have new guests on every week to talk about each episode of each show that comes out, each of the movies that comes out. So I'll leave some cards with you. Yes. Oh, my buddy Justin. We'll call you out, Justin. You should have been here. And you failed. You failed me. But thank you guys so much. My name is Brett Scott, and this has been Marvel Plus. Thanks.